Welcome to Chapter 2, Deepenings. Now we've already relaxed the person. We've spent about 10 or 15 minutes just relaxing them, being very boring, drawing our words out, taking them on a trip that is very relaxing. The induction is designed to induce someone into a hypnotic trance. Now, the next step is to further that with a deepening. It just means we're deepening that state.
And you're rocking in your hammock back and forth, back and forth. So relaxed, so at ease.
And count backwards from 10 to 1 as they do it.
And as you begin walking down the steps, I will count each step as you walk down. 10, down a step. 9, more and more relaxed. 8.
Something like that. A deepening almost always involves numbers, at least when I do it. So if you have someone drive down a road for your induction, perhaps for your deepening, you want to have them pull the car over on the side of the road, get out, get in sort of a meditative state, meditative pose, maybe the lotus position, in their minds, of course. This is all imaginary. And then you want to have them count backwards, perhaps from 20 to 0, as they watch the sunset. And as the sun goes lower and lower, you're counting backwards. 20, 19, 18, 17, down, down, down. And as you count down, you may want to slow down. Now you can also count up, that's fine, and sometimes I'll do that. What you may want to do, and this is totally your choice, what you may want to do is count down for the deepening, and then up when you bring them back up, which we'll talk about later. So you're counting down 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. Notice I'm slowing down as I go on. Initially, you may want to start the entire session with talking in a normal tone, and then slowly slow things down. And when you're in the deepening, you really want to slow things down. Now let me give you an example of the slowest you would talk, because you're not going to slow down to near stopping. You're going to slow down to about this pace. And once you have slowed down to this pace during the deepening, you want to maintain this pace for the rest of the session until you're ready to bring them back out. Notice I'm elongating my words. I'm not fluctuating my tone. I'm keeping my volume steady. I'm not fluctuating my tone. If you fluctuate your tone, you're going to jar them, and the last thing you want to do is jar them. You want to have them very, very relaxed. Now, I do a deepening every time. Eventually, when you work with someone, if they come into your office or your home, wherever you're hypnotizing them, they may very well go into a hypnotic trance just by sitting in the hypnosis chair. Another thing to point out here is that perhaps when you're interviewing them, you want to have them sit in one chair, and when you're hypnotizing them, have them sit in another chair, which is very relaxing. That way, they're trained in their minds to relax when they sit in that hypnosis chair, but to be alert when they're sitting in the other chair. This gives you the advantage of having them fully conscious, fully in beta while you're talking with them and finding out information from them, yet already beginning to drop down to alpha when they sit in that relaxing chair. So eventually when they sit in that chair, they'll know that it's time to go into a hypnotic state, and your work is for the most part done. But just to be sure, I always do a nice long induction and a deepening. Now the deepening you would want to do for about 5 minutes, in my opinion. This is the way I do it. And when I teach people, I teach them to do a deepening for about 5 minutes, or the length of the induction. So if your induction is about 5 minutes, maybe you'd want your deepening to be 2.5 minutes. Now I recommend a longer induction. I recommend about 10 or 15 minutes for the induction. And then your deepening would be about 5 to 7 minutes. Could even be shorter. The deepening is the icing on the cake. If you've already got someone snoring in the chair, chances are they don't need much of a deepening or any deepening. Now keep in mind, if you're making a tape for them, they may not be that relaxed next time they listen to it. So you may want to throw the deepening in there just to make sure that they're that relaxed every single time. Because sometimes when people come to my office, especially early in the morning, they haven't gotten much sleep, or even in the evening. They're tired from their day. They're ready for a nap. They look at it as a way to escape and just take a little nap. They may not always be in that state when they're listening to the tape you make, so adding the deepening can give the session that little extra punch, that little extra push that it needs to really relax them no matter what's going on with them. Now, it is entirely conceivable that even after the deepening, you've got someone who's still squirming, who's still scratching and still moving around. They may be aware of everything you say while they're in hypnosis. Don't worry about this. If they're squirming during the session, if they're still moving around or scratching, or they still seem to be wide awake, even after you've done the deepening, just don't worry. Proceed with what you're doing, because it's highly conceivable that A, they may already be in hypnosis, but that they respond hypnotically. B, they're not very relaxed at all because they're in an office, but when they get home and listen to that same recording, they'll relax very deeply. So either of those things could be possible. Your job is just to proceed. I don't recommend doing any form of testing at this point. Some schools of hypnotherapy talk about doing a testing to assess where the client is. Well, if you find out the client is not deep enough and you deepen them even more and still find out they're not deep enough, you're going to find yourself in an interesting predicament where you're going to continue doing deepenings or something like that. I recommend just proceeding and going on to the next step. The next step, of course, is the script. But before we go there, I want you to take out your practice tape now and record a deepening. So what would this entail? It would entail you taking the scenario you've already set up. You've already got a scenario where they're relaxing, walking along the ocean, enjoying the ocean. Perhaps they're driving. Perhaps they're scuba diving. Take this and take it to the next level. Take it the next level down. Always keep in mind down. And by the way, anytime you can use the word down in the induction or the deepening, throw it in there. You're driving down the road. You're walking down the beach. You're scuba diving. You're going down deeper and deeper. So say, for example, we've got them walking along a beach. The deepening would then have them sitting on the beach, perhaps throwing a pebble into the water and watching it go down and counting backwards from 20 to 1. You can use that one. Or perhaps they're in the desert. You've had them drive out in the desert and they're sitting down and you have them watch the sun go down as you count from 20 to 1. Or perhaps they're scuba diving and then they take a turn down where they go down deeper and deeper. So take what you've already done in the induction on your tape and now record a deepening. Remember, the deepening is just a continuation of that scenario. Or if you can't think of anything to do with them, it's okay to ask them. Say you had them walking along a beach. Well, then you can have them imagine themselves standing at the top of a staircase and walking down a staircase. It's okay if you combine the metaphors. It doesn't ultimately matter. But where you can, make it smooth and make it a continuation, but a deeper continuation of what you already have. So go ahead and record your deepening. This will be after your induction. Now keep in mind, you're going to have your induction, you're going to have 30 to 60 seconds between your induction and deepening, and then you're going to have your deepening, which is approximately half the time of your induction. So go ahead and do this now.